Hi, I'm Jordan with the I Can't Have Nice Things YouTube channel. Today we're doing DIY rod holders for your boat. So you may have seen this boat in the background of some of my videos. This is a 1989 Stratus Pro 201. It's 21 foot long and it's a full fiberglass bass boat. And I don't really want to punch any holes in this top rail, damaging the clear coat. I plan on buffing this out this fall. It's a little faded, but I do plan on buffing this out. And the idea was to use these cleats here as some sort of base for a set of rod holders on this side and the exact same on the other side. I spent a few minutes making a template, and this is kind of what I came up with initially. Was have this drop in like this and then lock up just like that. You would bring it in, lock it up, and obviously this is just a mock-up. I would be making this out of aluminum. Instead of doing it like this, where it has become fairly weak here and on this side, the metal would be too thin. I thought about making it wider, but because this cleat is recessed down in this pocket, I can't make it any wider. So what I'm gonna do now is make a plate that can go underneath of the cleat itself and utilize the holes that are already there. So all we'll have to do is cut a square plate and then bend it at 45 or whatever this is to be level and come out to about here, somewhere where it's inside the railing, so if I dock up it doesn't bump the dock, and I won't have to punch any extra holes. I'll mount the cleat right back on top of it. We'll still have the cleat and still have use of the cleat, but the pole holder will be much stronger this way. What we will be using is some of this 1/8 inch thick diamond plate, aluminum diamond plate. This stuff's very stout, but it's easy to work with. My only concern is as far as bending it to that, I don't know, I'll have to check the angle. It could be 35, could be 45 degrees, but when I bend it to the angle, I don't want there to be a bunch of stress cracks in the aluminum itself. So I took a couple of measurements. It looks like I'm gonna need a piece roughly 4 inches wide by 6 inches long. Somewhere in here it will bend, obviously, over the railing, and we will add our 2 big holes and then our 4 smaller holes. But first I need to cut this out, and then we'll put it in the vise and try to get it at the right angle. Okay, instead of beating the tar out of this thing with a hammer, I think what I'm gonna do is try to use this very large crescent wrench. If we can stick it up on here, we might be able to bend this thing. Let's see what it does. Oh yeah, it's bending pretty nice. This side. Hoping to do this as even as possible, so maybe it doesn't crack. All right, we'll go ahead and check this angle. I have the cleat removed already. We'll set it on there and see if this is even close. So this is how it's lining up right now. Right down in here like this. It's at a slight upward angle. I think I'm gonna bend it just a little bit more to push it down a little bit more, and that'll probably be fine. Okay, I have the impact wedging it up against here right now, but this is perfectly flat. And I think the easiest thing to do would be to turn this over and lay my cleat on top of it in order to get my bolt holes to line up the proper way. So I think that'll be our next step in drilling out the holes to actually mount it to the boat. Okay, so this is what we have so far. It's not all the way mounted right now, but the idea is to take our rod holders here and find a spot here, drill a hole, or here, and drill a hole. I'm gonna tap it so I can thread these down in it. I'm also gonna add a bolt on the bottom side. These will come through about that far, and I'm gonna add a bolt. So I'm gonna figure out where these are gonna go in this area, and we'll go ahead and drill some holes, and then we'll probably maybe clean this up, buff it out a little bit, take some of these hard edges off, and go ahead and fully mount this up. I think we're gonna have a change of plans here. When you have one of these rod holders in here, the other one is just too close. These two are just much too close to each other to make any sort of even left to right adjustment at all. They're stacked right on top of each other. What I'm gonna do, I think, is actually cut this rod off here. The reason why I'm getting rid of this setup is I don't care how tight you crank this down. If you have any fish of any side strike one side, it actually rotates. It'll rotate down here, it'll rotate up here. You just can't help it. This is a crappie fishing rig, I understand that. But I'm not gonna go out and buy all new rod holders if I don't have to. So I'm gonna cut this right here, and I'm gonna use a couple of U-bolts to actually, probably one here and one here, and be able to kind of tilt it back and forth to maybe change the angle of this. Not only that, they'll be plenty far apart. So I think that's our new goal for this. This is what we have so far. I've made both sides, one for the port and one for the starboard. They'll mount in the same spot. This hole right here got a little blown out, but they're still fine. The idea that I have now, in order to make both of these pole holders actually mount and be able to rotate left and right, is use this. And we're gonna have it mounted here with two U-bolts, which will be these guys right here. So there'll be one here, bar running across. And we'll actually be able to pitch this forward and backward to give an angle to our rod holders if we want to. That it'll be super secure and have plenty of distance between the two rod holders to be able to turn them any way we want. So this is how they turned out. We'll go ahead and cut these off, these extended pieces off here. I got to go ahead and mount them on the boat. And I'm going to get new stainless steel anchors, fasteners for the cleats. Because this is a little bit thicker, we're going to lose thread into the boat, and I want those cleats to be just as strong as they were before. So I'm going to get some extended screws so I don't lose any of that thread. But next time you see these will be mounted on the boat and have the rod holders threaded into them, and we'll get a good look at them, maybe put a couple poles in them, see what they look like. So here we are, finished product. We're easily able to get to our cleats. I didn't add any extra holes to the railing here, and I made this out of some bits and scraps. The only thing that I actually had to buy for this setup were these U-bolts. These rod holders came off an old boat a long time ago, and everything else was just bits of stuff I had laying around. This is very, very strong. Now we got those two on that side, and these on this side. We'll be able to do some trolling, catfishing on the river, whatever we want to do. This is how I wanted it to turn out. Unfortunately, you can probably see that it is actually currently raining out here. What I'm going to do is wait till we get a nice day, and we're going to go ahead and take this boat out and use these. I'm excited to test them out. I'd like to see how they work. Okay, the rod holders turned out pretty good. I like how they ended up looking, and I think they're going to work pretty well. But I appreciate you guys watching, and we will do a test on those rod holders as soon as the weather gets a little bit better.